All right, welcome everyone to Reaction Monday, NFL Week 8 reactions. As you can see, we got Tua in the background. He got his first start this week. Also, the Steelers are still undefeated, and then Dalvin Cook, who had a crazy day. So we're going to touch on those things today on the show. Obviously, as always, leave your comments and your questions and comments. We will definitely read those. We will definitely shout you out. I have my dad right here to the right or left of me, however how you're watching this. Great to have you on tonight.
Good to be on. Good to be on. How you doing?
Good. You got to show us the shirt.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't want to actually endorse a candidate on your show. I wanted to be correct, but I had to make a statement, and you can take from what you wish from this statement.
And that's Obama dunking the ball, if you remember
Obama's,
that.
Right. That's his head on Dwight Howard Superman dunk. This is our moment.
Yes. So I'm okay with it. And you know, a side note, Obama still got that sweet lefty jumper. If anybody seen that commercial from this weekend where he was shooting a three and then he walked away talking about, this is what I do.
That one. I didn't see that when he did a Steph Curry. He shot it, then he turned away and walked away.
He shot it, then he turned around and walked away. And then everybody was like, wow, Obama. He was like, this is what I do. This is what I do. I had to send you the clip, man. It was hilarious, but that's just classic Obama, man.
Yeah. Well, I seen he's been on the campaign trail, for Biden, so he got his swag back. I can tell,
Yeah. He's been feeling it.
Yeah, he got his swag back, so it's good to see him back out there.
All right, so NFL Week 8. Also, we got Bucs and Giants on tonight. That should be a pretty easy win, I would say, for the Bucs, no doubt. Also, we're going live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're also trying it out on Periscope, which is technically Twitter Live. So join in on the comments. We're trying to expand the reach, to different areas. Shout out to J Ray. He says, "Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. How did your team do this weekend?" I think J Ray's in Chicago. But let's get to Tua's first start, man. Tua coming into this week, and it was some nervousness. Obviously, I mean, the guy's had multiple injuries throughout his college career, but him finally getting this first start, I was actually excited. I was pretty excited to see it, and they got the win, but it was a large part of that Dolphins defense.
Right.
And but him getting that first start and getting his first win, kind of what was your thoughts? Especially going up against Aaron Donald, that wasn't going to be an easy task.
Right. Well, I was excited to see him as well. I was concerned, like you were, that they was putting him in against a team like, with Aaron Donald and the Rams, because I knew it was going to be a tough matchup. But, I mean, he did okay considering first start, a rookie. I noticed the nervousness at first, when he had that one turnover. But he kind of settled in. He got a touchdown. So that was good to see. But I wasn't too impressed, because I know it's the beginning of his career, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna be able to get into the groove and get more acclimated and get more comfortable once he get a couple more starts on his belt. But it was good to see him out there, though.
Yeah, I agree. Let me give a shout out to Antoine Smitty Smith. Thank you for tuning in on Facebook. He is a Falcons fan. And also, we got Walter Strong. Thank you for tuning in. And Dietrich Oliver. Thank you for tuning in also. Yeah, it was good to see them rally around Tua, because also shout out to Overton Claiborne. Thank you for tuning in. It was good to see them rallying around Tua, because, that first game, you need some support. You need support from every facet of the game. They got a punt return touchdown. He didn't have, his game wasn't great, but you could tell that they rallied around him and they wanted to help him get this first win. And it was big. It's major for the Dolphins to be able to to get some wins and continue it along this season, with the best they can. Obviously, they're going to be in a tough spot to try to make a run. But great for Tua to get the first win. I know that's always exciting to get that first one under your belt.
Well, I know it's exciting too when you 21 points ahead before at the blink.
Right.
Up 21 points. So you kind of get a little cushion and you get a little comfortable, with that lead. But that defense, I mean, it was interesting how they really clamped down, on the Rams at the beginning. They had 2 interceptions, and I think one was a TD, and they had 2 fumbles, and both recovered, one for a touchdown. And plus, you mentioned the special team punt return. But the interesting thing is that, Goff, how he struggled, and the defense of the Dolphins had him rattled. But when you look at the stats, look at the scorecard, it'll be kind of amazing that you see the Rams, had 471 yards against 145 for the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
So they had 3 times, more yards than the actual Dolphins, and they had a possession of 36 minutes to 24 minutes of possession time. But the red zone defense and the turnovers was basically the difference. So it goes to show you, in the National Football League, you can mount up the yards and you can mount up your stats because, you're looking at between the 20 and the 20. But what counts is the red zone.
True.
Once you get in the red zone, I mean, you got to score the ball. And they had Goff rattled. He put up a good numbers, but a lot of it, was meaningless. You're talking about 355, 1 touchdown, but the 2 interceptions will hurt him. But he threw, 61 times, 35 completions, which is acceptable. But the fumbles, I mean, they were on him. That defensive line was on top of him when it really counted. And that's what Tua has to look forward to. That defense can clamp down when necessary, even though he was going up and down the field. But when necessary, they got the turnovers, and they made sure that they kept him out of the end zone.
Yeah. And that's what matters most, when it comes down to the defense. And then when you can get a special team score, that makes a big difference. Yeah, I think you're – okay, there we go. Adjusted the camera a little bit. But Brian Flores will be one of the next great coaches. I definitely agree, man. He's in that pedigree of, obviously, of Belichick. But I think the bigger part is I think he has that defensive mind, and obviously he has kind of a sniff, for defensive talent, because a lot of these names on this defense are not really major names.
Right.
So and he's a black coach. I got respect for all minority coaches in the NFL. So I'm definitely gonna be rooting for him. And then also you look at, kind of a side note I'm gonna say here is that Mike Tomlin, which we're going to get to the Steelers, Mike Tomlin has the most wins of any minority coach in NFL history. That's a major announcement. He passed Dungy, which, Dungy is a legend when it comes to coaching and outside of coaching. So, that's major to see. And I'm looking forward to what Brian Flores is going to do. You got your franchise quarterback. So now it's just a matter of what do you do? What do you do with them? They're not afraid, obviously, to put him in there. A lot of people were nervous, talking about, having Fitzpatrick play longer. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be good for them the rest of the season. Now they're 4-3. Let me pull up their exact. So they're 4-3. They're 2 games behind Buffalo, but Buffalo's pretty much got this division on lock unless some type of freak accident type of thing happens.
Right. But I mean, they're in second place in the AFC East, so they don't necessarily have to look at this as a rebuild season. I mean, if they wins and see if they can get a wild card, they can continue to make some noise. So, like you said, they're in second place, the 2 behind Buffalo, and Buffalo's playing some great ball. So I really don't see them overtaking them, but they, depending on what they're dealing with, because they're at 4-3, and you're looking at most of the other division, you know, the West, the Raiders second place 4-3. The North, you know, you got Ravens and Browns 5-2, 5-3, and the South is 5-2, Titans 5-2, Colts. So I mean, there's a possibility that they can actually get a wild card, but it depends on how he can adjust and how fast he can grow, you know, and as far as he's learning right now. And no, they always got Fitzpatrick. Just in case in trouble, they got Fitzpatrick in the bullpen. They can always bring out.
Yeah, they can always bring him in to see what happens.
Right.
So man, the comments are blowing up. Thank you guys so much. I'm not a big golf fan. Just don't think he has it, you know, quote unquote. And I think you got a really good point. A lot of people were deeming him as the next great quarterback that was in the same class as Wentz. That was in the same class as Dak, which Dak didn't go to the fourth round.
Right.
But that's in that same kind of class. And really neither one of them, Wentz or Goff, has really, I think, exceeded the expectation that people had him at. And I think that's a major part of, you know, when we talk about quarterbacks. Shout out to Easy. I thought you was jumping on with us, but he said BS2 in the building. Yes, he is. That's where I get my sports fandom from.
There you go.
This guy right here. Taryn Rodriguez, thank you. Mike Tomlin slept on. The thing I don't understand is some Steelers fans don't like Mike Tomlin, which I don't get that. Like, you're not gonna win a Super Bowl every year, number one.
Right.
Then number two, you guys are always in the hunt. And that's not because of Big Ben, because Big Ben happens to get hurt every year. So what does that turn to? That turns to the coaching.
Right. And the thing about it is, you know, Tomlin's coaching style is not really liked by everybody. I think that's the problem. The wins are obvious. You know, he has the most wins as an African-American coach. You just stated that earlier. So the wins are there. And the ownership loves him because, you know, most of the coaches within that franchise, they're there for a long period of time until they retire. You know, so I think it's going to be the same way with Tomlin. You know, especially what he did last year after Big Ben got hurt. I mean, that was phenomenal. You know, that was Coach of the Year material. But I think his particular style, because he's a rah-rah type of coach, you know, and most coaches are pretty subdued. And, you know, we look at Belichick, kind of subdued. When you look at Andy Reid, you know, kind of subdued. But, you know, he's a rah-rah type of guy. So he gives high fives and he's very exciting when it comes to the plays on the sideline. So it's almost like they consider him, some give him a negative critique, as he is more of a motivator instead of an X and O guy, you know. But that's what head coaches are designed to do. They put people in place to handle X and O's. That's why he got coordinators, defensive, offensive coordinators.
Right.
You know, he's humble enough to where he don't have to do everything. He's willing to designate assignments to his assistant coaches to where he can be there, the motivator, instead of focusing always on either calling plays, defensive, offensive plays. You know, like Andy Reid, you know, he got that sheet in his hand constantly, all game, you know.
Right.
So I think that's one of the things they may not like about him, but I don't think it's fair. But I'm just saying, from my viewpoint, I think that's one of the critiques that they have of him.
Yeah. And Dedrick Oliver, definitely next week, or not next week, but the week after, I'll definitely be in touch with you to get you onto the show. We would love to have different people on. Now let's get to the Ravens game. Ravens, Steelers, man, this was the marquee matchup. This obviously could have been the night game. Okay. We all know that the Cowboys were on at night, and the Cowboys should not have been on at night. Okay. That's all I'm gonna say. We're not gonna dive into the Cowboys game. But this was the best matchup right here. I mean, you look at the undefeated Steelers going up against a young Lamar Jackson.
Right.
And honestly, the Steelers played the best possible defense they could play. And they made, you know, somebody made this comment. They made the Ravens uncomfortable. I think that was Overton Claiborne. They made the Ravens uncomfortable. They made Lamar uncomfortable. a uncharacteristic game of Lamar having 4 turnovers. I think he had 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles, which normally that does not happen. That's not in his repertoire. That's not what he does normally. So those were 2 major things. But that Steelers defense traditionally is always, a stout defense, and they just showed it. I mean, they were dominant. And the other part of this is the Ravens were still in this game, even with all of those mistakes. Say if they a better catch, or pass at that last play of the game, and the Ravens could have still been in the driver's seat. So I want to get your take on this.
Oh yeah. Oh, similar to the Dolphins and the Rams stats that I gave earlier. The Steelers had 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Big Ben had a mediocre game, wasn't nothing to write home about. But those 4 sacks, on Lamar Jackson really hurt the Ravens, and they had twice as many yards as the Steelers. The Ravens had 457 yards compared to 221. Time of possession is 35-25. But that red zone defense, once again, and how they clamped down on Lamar, I mean, you're looking at, and this is a stat I got earlier, that this particular Steelers defense basically know how to defend Lamar Jackson, and Tomlin said on this interview, he don't scare us. We ain't scared of him. I mean, we respect him, but I don't think Tomlin's scared of anybody, really. And we respect him, but we're not scared of him. But this also brought out the fact that they had for the season, they had 15 turnovers, the Ravens, and 7 of them came against the Steelers.
Wow.
So more than half of the turnover came against the Steelers. So they know how to defend them. And basically, when you look at the quarterbacks, I'm not sure if you're going to get into this later on, but I just wanted, since we're talking about Big Ben, and since I'm the statesman of the show, Big Ben number 2,
right?
Big Ben 3. The senior guys that showed up, this weekend. Roxenberg, like I said, he didn't have a great game, but he had 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, but no interceptions. And he's 38. And then you look at the other guy that the Chargers traded to the Colts, Phillip Rivers, 38. He had 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And they're okay. I mean, their total 1868 and 1628, 15-4, and 10-6. But then you look at those who are considered to be the future of the NFL. And we just mentioned a couple, so I'm going to just give their stats. Lamar Jackson, we talk about him, 208, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 pick six, 2 fumbles. And then he had 16 carries. Now, the 16 carries is tied for the most carries in the game. He had 65 yards on the ground. So now you're probably going to get into Patriots later on. But when you look at, Cam Newton, you look at Luck before he retired, these guys running the ball, these quarterbacks running the ball, it eventually going to come down. It's going to affect them. And, Lamar Jackson's young. He can make the adjustments, but he's got to be able to throw the ball more. He can't run. He's going to end up getting injured. And plus, you're talking about his Pro Bowl right tackle. Now he's injured.
Right.
Ronnie Stanley. But then you compare that to Goff. He had a lot of yards, 355 yards, 1 touchdown, but he also had 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. So this is supposed to be, the future. Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff. But you got these senior statesmen that are managing the game, and I think that's what it takes. You can't do too much, but you also, it's all about experience. It's all about managing the game. It's all about staying within your lane and know exactly your potential, what you have that you can accomplish. But the turnover, the fumble was bad, especially where it was, And then the pass, I mean, it was a good pass. It's just that the defender was all around him.
Yeah.
So, but the Steelers look good.
Yeah, and they're still undefeated. And this upcoming week, they got the juiciest matchup possible. They play the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to pencil that one in right now.
Right.
Tomlin is already writing that in as a win, even though, they say you shouldn't do that in professional sports. But this is this Dallas Cowboys team. You might as well pencil that one in. We got a question here. Can we break down the Wims incident? This was the Bears. The Bears played the Saints.
Right.
And so the info that I have is that Wims said that the corner from the Saints, which I think is Gardner
Johnson,
that he spit in his face. That was what he said.
Right.
Now I didn't actually see it, but when Wims ran up to him, there was no discussion, there was no conversation. He just hit him. Right. I've never understood, and you played football, I never understood why you hit someone with a helmet on. That does not. It's not like fighting with gloves. It's not going to affect that person any. All it's going to do is make them turn to the side or move away. Mm-hmm. So it was a bad incident. Now, if he did spit in his face, obviously, these are grown men, and that's the most disrespectful thing you can do to a person. Period. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's true or not, but I do know that Wims wasn't having it, and that's what ended up turning to that situation. Wims has now been suspended, but I don't know if you had a different take on that.
Well, I actually viewed some of the replay, and one of the cameras got a shot of Gardner Johnson snatching Wims' mouthpiece off of his helmet.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it was in his mouth at the time, but he snatched his mouthpiece off of his helmet. And then, Wims said he spit in his face. They didn't get that on camera, but they did get the part about him snatching his mouthpiece. Now, and this happened like 11 minutes prior to the incident. Now,
11 minutes.
11 minutes prior to the incident. So this was brewing. Okay, so it's more to this than meets the eye. And what I really don't like is these commentators. They fly off the handle. Oh, this is outrageous. This is an assault. Oh, this is the worst thing I ever seen. This is gross. This is gross. This is grotesque. This is bad for football. Come on. Football is a violent sport. The man has a helmet on, okay? So, how injured can this man be? But if you notice the punch, he didn't punch him in the helmet. What he was aiming for his chin. Because I looked at it a couple times. He was aiming for his chin. So when he walked up on him, he snatched his mouthpiece off of his helmet. So that was a retaliation. I'm not sure what verbiage was said, but, Gardner Johnson just stood there almost like he was trying to egg him on to throw the punch. He didn't try to block it or anything. So he was basically trying to egg him on and get him to do something that he knew was going to get him thrown out. Right. And then when he took the first punch, which was basically on the chin, he's trying to get him up underneath the helmet. Then he stood there again with his hands down and took the second punch. So he was instigating. So you got to look beyond the obvious. The obvious is he was upset. Okay. The obvious is that he hit the man twice. It looks like it was uncalled for, like it was a sucker punch. It wasn't a sucker punch because he snatched his mouthpiece. They was face off. There was probably some words, and then he hauled off and smacked him. Then he did it the second time. And the guy that he hit didn't defend himself. So you have to say, okay, now, if he's a football player, it's a violent sport, then your obvious reaction would be to try to block the punch.
Right.
But you're going to stand there with your hands down and you're instigating something. Now, this is the same guy that got in a fight with Thomas.
Right, in the locker room.
Okay, this is two incidents of the same guy. Now, Thomas, he doesn't seem like a violent guy to me. He seems like a very reasonable guy. I mean, come on now. So this Gardner Johnson, I mean, you have to dig deep and try to figure out what's in this guy's history that he's getting knocked around. It can't be for no reason at all. Now, one time, okay, maybe, you got up underneath Thomas' skin and he hit you. But twice, either the guy's flapping off at the mouth, and you can only so many things you can say. You can't talk about somebody's mama.
Right, or his wife.
Or his wife, So Williams, he's appealing, and I'm pretty sure in the appeal he's going to give his side of the story. I wish he would have kind of kept his cool and not went off the way he did, because on camera it looks real bad, but underneath, because he was instigating it and because he egged them on, because he had his hands down, because he actually welcomed the second. You can just tell he's like, hit me again. Come on, hit me again. Right. Because he got his helmet on. He know you can't hurt him.
Right.
So it looks bad, but I think there's more to the story than meets the eye.
I agree. I agree with you there too. And the problem is the camera's only going to show the end result most of the time. It's not going to show what happened.
Right.
It's not going to show what happened 11 minutes ago. It's just going to show what happened during that exact time, which yes, obviously it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great if you got kids watching, but the stuff that happened before that is always, the different aspect of it. I wanted to read a comment by Taryn Rodriguez. Eric Bieniemy is going to be a great coach when he leaves the Chiefs. That's a great point. I don't understand why he didn't have a job yet. I was hoping, I was praying. I had both hands crossed like this, that hopefully Jerry would come to his senses and pay this guy whatever he wanted. But obviously that didn't happen. But whenever he does leave the Chiefs, he's going to be a great coach. I got a lot of comments here. Steelers made timely plays the whole game. That's true. And if you rewind back to last week, they did the exact same thing. They were in a close one, I believe, with the Titans. I think they were in a close one last week. And, it was a kind of the same situation. When you look at that, throw by Lamar, I mean, that last play of the game, it was a great throw, but it was, 3 players around him. It would have been a miraculous catch that he would have, that wide receiver, I think it was Snead, he would have had to fight over that one to be able to get that catch.
Right. And like I said, man, when you look at the stats, I mean, Big Ben had 21 of 30, 282 yards. I mean, it's average, nothing to write home about. Connor, the running back, only had 47 yards, 15 carries. Juju Smith-Schuster had 67 yards, 7 receptions. So it's not like they blew, Baltimore out. And Baltimore actually had a 17-7 lead at halftime.
Right.
So the Steelers just finds a way to win. They're not overpowering anybody. Like I said before, when it comes to the yard differentiation, the Ravens had more yards, but they find a way to win. And that's the signs of a good coach. And that's the signs of a veteran quarterback. Big Ben didn't turn the ball over. He managed the game to where he stayed in his lane, and they just, in defense, just, clamped down on them at the end. So, and that's what really matters.
Yeah. Let me give a shout out to Chief Rock of Jersey, Vern. Thank you for coming through. Had a big show this morning. Had 2 great guests on. And I believe he just turned 60, Jersey, if that's correct. Also, we got Tracy Porter. And here was a comment that I wanted us to touch on. Lamar, he said, Lamar, no big game Jackson. I mean, look, he's still young. Yes, he's had 2 opportunities in the playoffs. And in this league, you got to take every single advantage of your opportunities.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm going to give him a pass, but I am saying, like, he still has a lot longer to go to show his potential and his greatness, because he has not fully reached it. There's still moments and times where he makes, bonehead, young player type mistakes. But what's your take on that?
No, I agree. And, it's about coaching again. I mean, you got to look at, how they're handling him, because the thing about it, like I mentioned before, I mean, he tied for number 1 in actual rushing. He had 65 yards, but he was 16 carries. So, when you got to look at coaching, you got to look at how they're preparing him, and you can't overplay your hand when it comes to his athleticism. Okay, he has the ability to run. He's fast, and he has the ability to maneuver and get away from players. That's fine and dandy, but you got to use that gift or that talent when it's necessary, when he needs to scramble. Because if you run him so many times, obviously teams are going to prepare for it. And that's one thing about Tomlin. He prepared for them. He knew what they were going to do. He knew that was the pass they're going to throw. He knew they were going to try to run them as many times as they did. So now you got to look at the coaching. I mean, what are you doing? Harbaugh, you have last year, he's the reigning MVP, right? Last year he was a sophomore when he got his MVP. So he took the league by storm. Okay. But now this is third year. So they're adjusting to him now. They got film guy, so they know exactly what he's doing. So Harbaugh's got to be a little bit more creative in the positions that he puts him in, the plays that he calls, and also whatever needs to be done, he's got to get his timing a little bit more better on his throws and not so much take advantage of his legs. I mean, you got running backs that are decent. Is Ingram hurt?
Ingram, I believe, is still hurt. I don't think he played this last game. But J.K. Dobbins had a good game.
Right. So, I mean, I look at it as he's young. He's going to get better. He's going to improve. We can't expect too much from him at this particular point in time. And now, you got defenses that got film on him, and they're confusing him. When it comes down to for him to make the big plays at the big moments at the big games. Because now these big games, I mean, you got coaches with experience, you got players with experience. So when they got film on you and they can make adjustments at halftime, and they know exactly what you're going to do because it's obvious that they're not changing up their plays or not changing up the method so that they're running him, then obviously things are going to fall apart when it comes to the big game. So the big game, you're talking about playoffs, people got all year film on you for the whole season. And then you got coaches that are veterans or that have the experience, plus the players that have the experience. So they know exactly what to look for. So I think it's coaching. They got to coach him up a little bit better. And plus he gets more experience. He will adjust. But yeah, it's going to take some time. I mean, it takes time for you to get there. I mean, that's the one thing about, Andy Reid, So he's blessed, to have Andy Reid as a coach. Not only because of his talents that he has, but also because of the play calling that he has. So I think he'll be okay.
Yeah. Let me read a comment here from Taryn Rodriguez. He says, Steelers 49, Cowboys 6, a way too early prediction. Hey, I don't have no comeback. I don't have no comeback at all. Let me see. Shout out to Tracy Porter. Thank you for tuning in. The Steelers offense is weak. And like you said, like Chief also said, they haven't really played anybody. Now they've been in a lot of situations where it came down to the end of the game. They got lucky against the Titans. If the Titans would have made that field goal last week, that game could have been different. Tracy says 35-14 tonight. I agree. I think this is going to be a blowout. Okay. And Chief Rocca is a Giants fan, so I know you're going to be watching it, but it's not going to be pretty. Okay. You are part of the NFC least. Don't forget about it.
Oh, there you go.
Let's see. Neil, I have a story to tell. He's watching over on YouTube. He says it's always more to the story, talking about the Wims situation. It is.
Right.
Baltimore Ravens is a one-dimensional football team. All Lamar Jackson does is run 25 to 30 times. Right. They really have no other offensive balance. And they have a really good tight end in Mark Andrews, but he's only really used in goal line situations. He's not really given the ball. They don't really pass to him often. It's more so just, in goal line type situations. So, it is what it is there. Let's go to, you mentioned the Patriots. Let's go to this Patriots game, which another prime situation where the quarterback is getting more rushing yards than the actual running back, and that's Cam Newton.
Right.
And this clearly in this particular game, it came back to haunt them. They're running multiple plays with Cam. They run this play. He ends up fumbling the ball. Obviously, he's not going to try to fumble the ball. But in a game like this against the Bills with the game on the line, I'm surprised they didn't come up with any other game plan. All they did was like run Cam, and the running back Damian Harris had 102 yards rushing. So it wasn't as if Cam was having to run. I guess it's just the play that they called. I don't know, but I do know that this is unprecedented times for Belichick. He's not used to this. He's not used to losing. He's not used to them having a losing record. And Cam is definitely feeling it too, because they put the keys in his hand, like, here, it's yours. We're not gonna bring in Jared Stedman. We're not gonna do it because we already know he's not up to your caliber of player. But this says officially that the Bills are the kings of this division right now, and they're going to win this division. I have no doubt about it. I think they have, they have a good quarterback. They got the running game. They got the defense. But give me your take with this game with the Patriots.
No, I have to agree. I mean, I'm concerned, about Cam. You're running him 9 to 10 carries a game. He had 9 carries for 54 yards. He had 174 passing, no touchdowns. I don't think he threw a touchdown for the last, few games he's played since he's been back. COVID, we don't know what the reaction of that is. But, and, I would expect more from Belichick. It's like, we're talking about the Tom Brady, Belichick effect. Who gonna miss more than the other? Who gonna miss more than the other? So it's obvious now. More than the other. It's obvious that Brady is missed by Belichick, and Belichick is using Cam's gifts, similar to Lamar Jackson, but right now Cam is he's at a point in his career, and I think his body is at a point to where he's taking so much punishment. There's only so much he can do. Like I said, Andrew Luck is a good example of the punishment. When you continue to take it, it takes a toll on you, and it wears your body down. And I know the accuracy was never there. He's never been over 60% reception quarterback. But now, I mean, when you talk about little aches and pains, and not only your injuries from the past, but now you're talking about current limitations because of your age and because of the pounding that your body takes. And for Belichick to continue to do that, it's mind-boggling to me. They need to, Belichick is one of the best coaches. He's one of the geniuses that he can take people from the, 4th and 5th and 6th round and make them into, a production player. But you're going to need some actual quality, players to put around Cam in order for them to make any type of, noise in that particular division, because, Cam's not who he was 5 years ago. He's just not.
Yeah, it's the truth. And it's like Josh McDaniels, who's the offensive coordinator, he's been able to use, his, I was thinking going into this that they were going to be creative. It was going to be, some different types of plays and not just Cam running the ball. And
right.
it's equated to Cam pretty much just running the ball. This last game he had 174 yards passing, 15 for 25. Right. But when the game was on the line, what were they doing? Cam was running the ball. So, you got to think of another. They got to think of another approach, and I don't know what that approach is going to be. But I do know if they don't figure it out soon, the Bills they're already starting to pull away. They're going to completely run away, with this division.
Like you said, I mean, the offensive coordinator normally is creative. When they had Brady, they had all kind of creative plays they was pulling from under the hat. Right. And now, like, run Cam. I mean,
fourth down and 2, run Cam.
Cam.
3rd and 15, run Cam. Yeah. Dietrich Oliver says JK should be number 1, Gus Edwards number 2. I agree. Why isn't Dobbins the full-time starter, going back to the Ravens? Mark Ingram is a good running back. I think you can fill him in, but Dobbins got the fresh legs, got that ability. I mean, obviously, he showed, yesterday what he's able to do. Mm-hmm. Antoine Smitty Smith says Pops got it locked down. Mark Martindale has to open up the playbook. Yeah, it's interesting to see how this season's going to go, because that division is pretty tough. You look at the Steelers; they're undefeated, obviously, but you got the Browns that are finally starting to look like a real football team. They're 5-3. Then Baltimore's 5-2. So those three, like, Pittsburgh's only 2 losses away from being in a like almost a 3-way tie. So we got a nice division there. Obviously, Cincinnati's not going anywhere. Let's not give them any high hopes quite yet. Now, they did come up with a win. Let's go ahead and touch on that. They did come up with a win on the Titans, which I was surprised that they were able to do that. And I think this goes back to the point that people love to put, like, Tannehill. Tannehill is the leader of this team. No, he's not. It's all depending on what Derrick Henry is going to do, which is going to lead through the rest of the offense. Derrick Henry had a great day, but obviously I didn't see this game. I don't know if you got any further takes on this, but I don't know if it was mistakes by Tannehill, or it was just the Bengals just wanted it more.
Well, I just say, as far as the Bengals go, Burrow's getting better. He's got the potential. We saw that in college. So he's got the potential. He's getting better. He's improving. But I think it's Derrick Henry. Where as far as Derrick Henry goes, that's how far they're going to go. And
True.
when you just compare, Dalvin Cooks to Derrick Henry, we'll probably touch on the Vikings in a minute. But Derrick Henry had 112 yards, but he had 18 carries. I mean, come on. I mean, you got to run the brother more than 18 times. 18 carries when you have Dalvin Cook had 30 carries. He had 1 touchdown. He's got, 775 yards total for the season. Dalvin Cook's got 652, so he's got more yards, less touchdowns. Dalvin Cook has 10, Henry has 8. But, that's your workhorse. You got to run him. And then once you run him, because you know what he can do. And that's one of the things about running backs. You got to let him hit the hole 4 or 5 times, and that 6th time they're going to break one. And big as he is, he can wear people down. So I think that was their problem, or still is their problem, is that you mentioned how Tannehill, they want to make sure Tannehill gets the glory. They want him to be the star, and at this particular point in time, Derrick Henry is the star. He's the man. And you got to run that beast, man. You got to run him. And once you do that, then Tannehill will get his, and you have a pretty good, winning season. So they're 5-2, like you mentioned. The Bengals are 5-1. So it's not like they're in jeopardy right now. But when you get beat by a 5-1 team, that your eyebrows have to go up. Okay, like, what's really going on? And I think that they're not using them to the effect they should use them. Tannehill's got good numbers. He got 18-23 total, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's got good numbers. But Derrick Henry, I think 18 rushes is just not enough.
Yeah, he's definitely the workhorse. And when you see him with more carries, you see him bust with a 98-yard run. You see him bust with a 65-yard run. And it all depends on Derrick Henry. I think whatever Tannehill does is an added bonus, but right. I just don't think that's going to win you any games. I don't think it's going to happen. Let's see. Vernon Ricks, Chief Rocker, says, I would love to see Russell and Pat in the Super Bowl. That would be a great Super Bowl matchup, which it could happen.
Yeah,
it definitely could happen. Cam is done physically and mentally. He's shell shocked. Says Smitty Smith, and he's the disappointment I see on his face really hit me, because it was like, I'm letting down my team. And when you start getting into that type of mindset, if you don't have something, if you don't get a good win or somebody saying like, hey, we still need you or something, like that starts to get into, I think, a negative light in a negative spot. So I mean, I think they're going to bounce back, but they got to think of different ways to make this offense run, and it can't just be when all else fails, let Cam run around. I mean, that can't be the option. You got to think of more options.
Right. Cam is he's making a meal something, right? He's at the
he's chump change, really.
Chump change. So see, that's the genius of Belichick. See, Belichick knew that Cam was not a $30 million a year quarterback. He knew that. Now he's got some incentive-laden contracts where he can make up, I think, up to 15. But now he's making chump change, and that's why Belichick, when he's on the bench, and Belichick go over there and pat him on the shoulder. It's all right. You'll be all right. You'll be. You ain't paying him nothing. If you were paying him 15, 20 million, you'd be over there screaming at the brother.
Right.
You pay minimum, so you're like, okay, that's all right, Cam. You'd be all right. He gonna use him up, man. He gonna use him. He gonna dog him out, get what he can out of him, and he's done. I'm telling you, man, he's done.
Yeah, there's going to be no reason to bring him back because it's going to be so. The exit is going to be, and the season's not going to turn out to be great. So, I can't believe how Cam Newton is struggling under Bill Belichick. Yeah, I mean, all of us are wondering. The offense is too complicated, says Antoine. I agree. Cam is used to running and making plays downfield. Joe Burrow is a superstar in the making. They just need a better O-line, which I guarantee you they're going to be working on that real soon. Mm-hmm. And Joe Burrow has shown his talent, man. He's shown that he can make those throws, and he has that ability. Joe Burrow going to be a real deal in another 2 to 3 years. Antoine says I'm assuming he says BS2. I've been saying that for 2 weeks. Henry needs his carries. He will pick it up towards the end of the season when defense are a bit wore down. And then we have Francis Miller Rogers. Thank you for tuning in. This is great to see us a long way from my baby 3 Greatest Cooper Children's choir little boy solid. Yeah. This is my passion right here. So my dad's the one that gave it to me. So
tell First Lady I said hi, First Lady.
Great to see you. Thank you for stopping through. He's not even using AJ Green either. That's a great point. AJ Green has went missing, and it's not because of an injury. It's because he found a new favorite target, and that new favorite target, I believe, is T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. And AJ Green, I think the biggest part of it, AJ Green hasn't really, I don't know if he's been able to gel with Joe Burrow, and he's had injuries every single year. Now, this is a whole new situation, but I just think Joe Burrow has his favorite targets, and AJ Green is just not one of them. And I would not be surprised if he gets traded before the deadline, which I believe is tomorrow.
Wow.
So, and we've already had some trades today. Let me just check real quick and see. I think the trade deadline, it's tomorrow, November 3rd. So I would not be surprised if AJ Green is gone, before the deadline tomorrow, because he's already got his favorite targets at this point. He's not. I don't think he's going to be searching to try to get, some yards for AJ Green. I just don't see that happening. So, but let's get to the Vikings game, which this Dalvin Cook. Like, what more do I need to say? 4 rushing touchdowns. The most interesting stat that if you guys probably heard, if not, he is the first Viking to get 4 touchdowns since Ahmad Rashad.
Wow.
That used to play for the Vikings before he got into commentating. He was I'm assuming he was a running back, for the Vikings. So that's amazing. And I believe they went into Lambeau. Then they played this game in They went into Lambeau.
Well, there's no fans now, so it's not really
Right. It's not really home field advantage anywhere at this point now. But it was a tale of two halves. The first half, they just, the Packers played great football, and it was Aaron Rodgers, the Aaron Rodgers that we all know and love. The second half, just not so much. They just did not look like they were playing well together, and it showed because Dalvin Cook went off, and they honestly had nothing to defend him at all, and that's normally not what this Packers defense normally looks like. And then you look at the coach, afterwards was just really saying that we got to figure something out. We got to figure it out soon. But give me your take on this. And I was expecting more out of the Packers, though.
Well, I'm along the same lines that you're on. I mean, Dalvin Cook, this guy carried the ball 30 times. But then you look at when you have a running back that you can use like a workhorse, and you can pound them, and then he ended up with 2 receptions for 63 yards. So now you're pounding them, then you can slip on the outside, and they can make a catch because their focus, they're stacking the box to where he gets on the outside. He can make those long runs, normally short passes out in the flat. So he had a touchdown, 3 rushing and 1 receiving. So it was basically, like you said, the Dalvin Cook show, and Kirk Cousins, he managed the game well, 11 of 4. He only threw for 14 times.
Wow.
He threw 14 times, and 11 of 14, 160 yards, 1 touchdown. So now you're using what you got to the best of your knowledge. And interesting, now we have another, 2 and 5. So there was 1. It was 1 and 5. And the Packers was 5 and 1. So 1 and 5 team be the 5 and 1 team, strictly because they used the running back. They ran them, which kept them in the game at halftime, and then they wore the defense down. And Aaron Rodgers, he's the bad man. He gonna always have his numbers, 291 for 3 touchdowns. But that third quarter when they scored the 14 points, it was a wrap. Defense just down.
Yeah, so they were tied at the half, 14-14.
Right.
And the Vikings, like you just said, came out of the gate with 14 in the third. 2 Dalvin Cook touchdowns, by the way, of his 4.
Right.
And then the Packers scored 8, and it, obviously it wasn't enough. Antoine says Rodgers' ego is going to doom that team. You got a great point there, and I think he definitely does have an ego, and I do think there is some tension between him and the coach. Now I don't know, they haven't actually. I don't know if they came out and said it or but you can just tell that obviously they're not seeing eye to eye. He also says, did you hear about the conspiracy theories Rodgers threw out there? I didn't hear about that. I don't know. Did you hear about that?
No.
Maybe add that into the comments there. But Rodgers, when they drafted Jordan Love, it was almost like he was looking over his shoulder. But to me, you're Aaron Rodgers though. Like this kid is from, I think it was from Utah or he's somewhere from the Pac-12. But you're threatened by Jordan Love, and you're Aaron Rodgers, who's arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks. So to me, I don't know, is that ego? Is that I don't know, is that just being sensitive? Like you're gonna win this job, unless you do something, crazy or stupid. And Utah State, that's where he's from, Jordan Love. So I mean, to me, that I don't know, that just seemed like a little kid, and somebody took his somebody was in the sandbox with him, and he didn't want the kid to be in the sandbox. I'm like, you're Aaron Rodgers. Like we all know who you are. Right. You're well respected. You got all the skills and everything. So I don't know. To me, that was just a little weird to me.
Well, I think also Aaron Rodgers, he feels privileged now because he's been such a great quarterback, and he's reading his news clippings. He's looking at the Twitter feeds, and he knows that a lot of these commentators are calling him the bad man, and he's got these State Farm commercials, and so he's feeling himself. He's like, okay, I should honor more respect, especially with this young coach coming in. And, when you look at his numbers, I mean, he's right there, with the MVP candidates. I mean, you're looking at what he's got, 1948 total yards. He's got 20 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. And only stats better than him is Mahomes. Mahomes got 23-15, 21 touchdowns, 1 interception. So, but when you look at the throws, I mean, he's throwing the ball a lot. He threw for 41 times, 27 for 41. He had 3 touchdowns, no picks. So Rodgers is like, I need my respect. You know, I should be the privileged one. I should be garnered the opportunity to stay here as long as I want without being threatened, my position being threatened. That's when I'm putting up numbers like that. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting how sensitive he is right now. And it could be, you know, I didn't hear about the conspiracy theories either, but it could be something going on.
Yeah, and I think Easy kind of hit the nail on the head here. He's not interested. He's not threatened. He's irritated. He wants to win now. He's almost 40. He wants pieces to win with. And, you know, that's a great point. That's a great point. Now, he does have one, but obviously these are professional athletes. They, you know, they want to be the great of the great. So I definitely get that. And I think that's a problem from management on down.
Right.
I mean, knowing that he is almost 40, like, to me, it should be common sense to get him all the weapons that he needs, but they do seem slow at getting him weapons. You know, Aaron Jones I don't think he really emerged until like last year, and Aaron Jones has been there since I think Eddie Lacy was there, and they allowed Eddie Lacy to be there, knowing that Eddie Lacy was not at the caliber that he should be at. So it's definitely frustrating. And Antoine says this is his last year in Green Bay. That would be interesting to see. Now I don't know what his contract situation is like. I thought he just signed. Let me see if I can pull it up, or if you guys know what his contract is. But that would be interesting if he ends up getting out of here, especially with, you know, who he is. He's been in Green Bay his whole career. It would be It would be kind of crazy to see him in another jersey. But he's got looks like 3 more years, you know, left on this deal. 14.7 next year, 25 the year after that, and then 25 the year after that. But I guarantee you anybody will put up any type of trade offer to try to get him.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they may trade him. That may be the case.
So we got Bucs and Giants on right now. Bucs up 3-0. I like the Giants. They got the old school jerseys on. Rodgers is trying to outshine the coach and run his own thing.
Right.
Think of them in free agency too, inactive. So, you know, it's this season. I think this season it's very hard to predict like what people's career is going to be, because there's been, number one, there's been a ton of injuries.
Right.
Number two, these players don't look in sync. They don't look like they've been practicing, because they haven't. They've been practicing via Zoom, which you can't throw a football to somebody via Zoom, at least not yet. So, and you can see just how a lot of these players aren't playing well together. Imagine if they pursued Jones or AJ Green for him. That would be, if they put it up to get Julio, that would be great. Or AJ Green, I think that both of those would be great.
Yeah.
And I think they have to try. That maybe that's the biggest part. Like, at least try to give me more weapons besides Devontae Adams. And, you know, some of those other guys are kind of guys that they drafted, but, you know, who knows how great they are. Let's get to a couple, maybe 1 or 2 more games. Broncos and Chargers. This was a game that came down to the absolute last minute of the game. Justin Herbert, which he's looking like a really good young quarterback. I'm going to give him his props right now, because he's been in a lot of close game situations. They didn't end up pulling this one out, but Drew Lock made a heck of a throw to win that game at the end of the game. And both of them aren't playing great. You know what? Denver's 3-4, the Chargers are 2-5, so none of them are making great noise. But this was just a great kind of back and forth game to watch.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised. It was a good game, and these young quarterbacks, you can see they're trying to come into their own. And so, you know, Herbert is really doing well. Threw a couple picks, but he had 278 yards, threw 43, 29 of 43. And, you know, Drew Lock, I'm finally checking him out, you know, and he's got a little swag about him. I saw him over there.
Yeah.
so he's enjoying it, you know, and that's, you know, you want to see young quarterbacks that's having fun. And you can tell, not only is he having fun, but he's got the confidence.
Right.
And that's the main thing. You got to have the confidence, and you got the support and the confidence, and your players got the confidence in you, and the coach got confidence in you. So, it was a good game, and he did good too. 26 of 41, 248 yards, 3 touchdowns. He only had 1 pick. So I enjoyed that game. It was fun to watch. I didn't really pay that much attention because of their record. I didn't think it was going to be that great of a game. And that's just the interesting thing about this season, as you mentioned, with COVID and with less practice time. And that's one of the things that, people talking about, Cam, is the practice time is not there. And plus him being out with COVID. And that can really affect timing. And you can see Cam's timing is totally off. But these young guys, they can just, step in, especially if they got good arms. Herbert and Locke, they got some good arms. They got some great arms, man. And they can fling that ball. So if you got a good arm, you got a good strong arm, you got a young arm, sometimes that can overcome the lack of practice and the lack of opportunity for timing because you got a live arm. So, and with COVID, you got 3 other cases actually 4 that came online, today. So it's going to be a weird year, regardless. I think it's going to be a weird year.
Yeah, I agree. Easy says I was iffy on the last minute call. Thought it was sketchy. Now I know the play before that, if I'm not mistaken, it ended up being a pass interference call, which then brought them closer. And then that's when they got that pass to Hamler. I'm pulling it up right now. It looks like it was an option. Yeah, it was like a weird type of option play, which it worked out. And so yeah, I think it was definitely an option play. He had the option to run, pass, or pitch it, and it looked like it was a good play call. Now, if they didn't have that pass interference, who knows how this game would have ended.
Right.
And it could have went to the other side. And Anthony Lynn is unfortunately one of those coaches on the hot seat. Now I know it seems like he's been on the hot seat for a long time, but he hadn't even been there for that long.
Right.
But I think they want him to win now, but the honest truth is he has a rookie quarterback. I don't know how you expect him to coach this team to a Super Bowl when they let Phillip Rivers go. I don't know if that was his choice or if that was the organization's choice, but he's been there. I wanted to see how many years. He's been there since 2017, so it's 3 years.
Right.
My thing is give the guy 4 years. 4 years is that should, number one, be enough time for you to see his full resume, help him get his players in, do whatever it is. And then also that you can see his potential if you want to, re-sign him. But a lot of people have been on this, get Anthony Lynn out the door, I think this whole year, and he's got a rookie. And then they had this freak accident with Tyrod Taylor. So,
right.
Yeah, it hadn't been a good year, and I'm not going to put that on him, though.
Right. No, I think he needs at least a couple more years, especially with this rookie quarterback, and see if, what he can do to bring him around. Because like I said, he got the potential, and he's a real good quarterback. So he just needs some experience. He's a rookie, and I can just tell he's got the potential now. But it's going to take some time. They got to put some players around him, a few more pieces around him. But, yeah, give him at least a couple more years and see what he can do, and then move on from there if you have to.
Yeah. Shout out to Courtney Harden. Thank you for tuning in. Part of BS3 Radio. He'll be coming back to the podcast game this week. He says he's going to do 2 or 3 episodes, so he's itching. I know he is. I know when you step away and you come back, you definitely want to come in and get your feet back wet. Melvin Ingram may be traded tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of trades tomorrow. We've already seen quite a few, but I think we're going to see more because teams need either backups or they need starters because there's so many injuries. Like, the trade deadline is going to be interesting. Herbert is fearless in the pocket, something scouts questioned. I wasn't that high on him because, being in the Pac-12, I don't think the Pac-12 is when you compare the conferences, I don't put them as number 1 or number 2. I'll put them probably number 3,
right,
below the SEC, and you put the ACC there.
Right.
All Chargers L's are games are one score games, and that's true. They've been in every single game that they've been in. So to me, it's unfair to put this guy on the hot seat. Let's talk about the last game to touch on. Let's see. Let's go 49ers Seahawks, which more injuries. I don't know what the 49ers are going to do. They may be making some trades. Jimmy G is out indefinitely.
Right.
Kittle is out, I believe, for 8 weeks or something to that effect.
Right.
And Russell Wilson got his, even with all three of their running backs out. They had DJ Dallas, which is like the fourth string, coming in, and DK Metcalf again. And I wanted to ask you this. Who would you compare DK Metcalf to? Because he is just a freak of nature.
Well, I have to go, with my boy Stephen A. and Megatron, Calvin Johnson, man. This guy, he is a beast. Now, Megatron was a little bit more agile and had, as far as routes, had a little bit more variation when it comes to route running. But I think DK Metcalf will get that with some years. But the speed, it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Fast this guy is, man, and plus he's strong, and so that's going to be a serious connection when it comes to Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf. But I'm impressed. I mean, if nothing else, I tune in just to see this guy play.
Yeah.
So he's going to do something that's so unique and just so phenomenal every week. I mean, that sideline run was like phenomenal. Most players do not have the agility to stay in bounds. Now, some players run out of bounds intentionally because they don't want to get hit.
Right.
But for him to get around that corner and to stay in bounds and to go down that sideline tiptoeing, and we always talk about that rundown, last week, which was amazing, But this guy, man, he's awesome. I know Russell Wilson is excited to have him, and you got Lockett on top of that, So he's got some potential to be one of the best receivers ever. A lot of people comparing him to, Michael Irvin, but Michael Irvin wasn't that big and that strong.
No, he was not. Michael Irvin was skinny compared to Metcalf, and his counterpart from college, AJ Brown, who plays for the Titans. They both went to Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I seen his combine tape, I was like, who is this guy?
Right.
But Russ has definitely got to be happy. And then Tyler Lockett has just like monster games every 3 games. He ends up getting 3 touchdowns. So this is a prime time for Seattle. Now I think Seattle is gonna have to try to continue to build that defense. They did add Carlos Dunlap, which he's one of the best, edge rushers. So I would love to see them in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. I think that would be one of the greatest matchups, of all time, to see those two go at it. But they had a big win over the 49ers. Injuries killed the 49ers again. And this is in a division where that division is so fluid, if you will, because they've got, the Seahawks there. Then they have the Cardinals and then the Rams. Like, none of those teams are, I think, truly out of it. Let me go to exactly.
Yeah.
Seattle. Yeah, Seattle 6-1.
Right.
Arizona 5-2.
Right.
Rams 5-3, and then 49ers 4-4.
Right.
But if they don't have Jimmy G, it's a wrap. If they don't have Kittle, it's a wrap. And they still don't have Mozart. So they're 3 best players, and Bosa and Solomon Jones, I believe is this. So it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good for them if they don't have their top players. Metcalf will finally get Wilson the elusive MVP. I hope so.
I hope so.
If he doesn't get it this year, I don't understand what it takes for him to get it.
And what's going on with the 49ers right now is really the equivalent of not taking advantage of your opportunity. Now, who knows when they're going to get back to the Super Bowl?
Right.
And if they would have ran Mostert like they're supposed to run him, then they could have had possibly a Super Bowl championship.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he wanted to get Garoppolo the numbers. And it's back to the same thing that happened with the Atlanta Falcons. That same coach, ain't it? That was
right. Exactly. Blowing that lead. Yep.
Now you see where the Falcons are. They in the bottom tanking, man. It's pathetic. You know, how they can get a lead and can't hold a lead. Well, now they got the coach now they got a couple wins. But this is a prime example, man. When you get to the Super Bowl, you got to take advantage of it. There is no guarantees you're going to get back.
Right.
And now with their best 3 players hurt, there's no way. There's no way they're getting back. And then you got, that little big man in Arizona.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray is balling, man. I'm telling you. And every game, he get more experience. He get more confidence. You got confidence. You screaming at Hopkins. He over there screaming at Hopkins. I'm like, you got confidence now. So a little bit, got a little chest, And so he's coming up, and with him coming up, and Goff in front of them, the Rams in front of them, and Goff is so sporadic. You have a good game one week, and another week you have a bad game. So, but that just goes to show you, man, you got to take advantage of your opportunities when you get there.
That's true. That's true. You have to. You really don't. You never know when you're going to get back. And a prime example, is the Falcons. The Falcons may not ever get back again. Right. And to have a lead like that, that's still heartbreaking. I'm not a Falcons fan, and that's heartbreaking. We got a back and forth between Easy and Courtney. Said, I don't compare them. He's his own bread. Russ helps to look great too, just as he's done for all wide receivers. What do you think of the Dez Bryant comparison? I do like the Dez Bryant comparison.
Yeah.
I don't think Dez, I agree with you, Courtney. I don't know if Dez had that type of speed, though.
Right.
Like,
no,
Metcalf's speed is, I don't know what he ran in his 40 time, but it is almost impossible to catch this guy. Minus, he ran down, the guy last week. But when you look at that play where Trayvon Diggs for the Cowboys ran him down, like he was letting up. Let's just be honest. Metcalf was letting up, and when he got close to the end zone, he was like, okay, I got this touchdown. And
right.
It ended up going, sideways on that one. But it's kind of hard to compare him because he's not necessarily, because Megatron was just his height. His height was he was taller than DK. So DK is kind of a hybrid type wide receiver, tight end type, because he's big. Mm-hmm. Now Megatron had a lot of speed with his size. So I think when it comes down to it, if he continues to play, he can definitely go down as one of the best. He'll surpass Dez. He could probably surpass Megatron, because Megatron retired. I don't think he didn't. I don't know if he reached his ultimate potential, and I respect it because his body was breaking down. But DK could have a really great career as he just keeps playing. As long as him and Russ are playing together, that's going to be a duo for a long time.
Right. Megatron kind of took a page out of the running back that retired early.
Barry Sanders?
Yeah, Barry Sanders, yeah. Kind of at his peak,
right.
When he walked away. But, this is a physical sport. So the pounding, once you take the pounding. When we talk about Metcalf, DK Metcalf, I can never forget the time that when he first got drafted and Pete Carroll took his shirt off. Pete Carroll was so excited, man. He got this guy. He took his shirt off because you're talking about some guns and a six-pack. This man, he's in phenomenal shape. This guy is, I don't know what his body fat percentage is.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
And LeBron said it too. That's these baby LeBron and they almost look, similar to each other. I think build. Obviously, I think LeBron's probably taller, but
LeBron's 6'8". Yeah,
he's a freak athlete. He's definitely a Stafford ruined Calvin's longevity, throwing him slaughter zones. He threw a lot of passes to him over the middle. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
he did. And when it came down to it, though, he retired on top. He retired as one of the best. You didn't see him getting carted off, or you didn't see him having any horrible injuries. So, he definitely retired on top. So let's give our prediction of this game tonight, which the Giants were up 7-3. I know Chief Rock is happy. The the resident Giants fan, the one of the only ones I know he's got to be happy. But it's still early, and it's 7-3 right now. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a Bucs win. I think it may be a little bit closer than what I thought, but I'm gonna go 20. I'm gonna go 28-21. I'm gonna say a touchdown, between the two Bucs. I got Bucs winning though. What's your prediction?
Well, I mean, this has been an interesting weekend. We had a couple games where the underdog, pulled out a victory, but I don't think it's going to happen tonight. I really don't. I think the Bucs is going to take care of the Giants. I'm looking at second half. Brady will get connected, so he'll end up scoring around 20, 28 points. I don't see the Giants, getting more than. They'll get another touchdown, I think. If they get 21, I'll be surprised. But, yeah, I think the Bucs is going to definitely take care of the Giants tonight.
Okay. All right, so there you have it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. And, yes, my dad is on most Mondays, bearing anything, going on. And he has his own podcast. Make sure to talk about that, man. I'm so excited for you guys and seeing you guys do the live shows and the podcast. But talk about that, and what do you guys have coming up this week?
Well, we thank you, man. We have been inspired, by our son. I guess the tables have been turned, so now he's encouraging us, and we really are excited about having this platform. Being retired pastor and first lady, we love ministry, so we're like counseling. So we're counseling couples, married or dating, on the circle of love. Is a concept that my wife Irene created when it talks about extending the same love and the same characteristics and values inward as well as outward to extended families, as well as within your immediate family grow. So we focus on the 5 C's. Christ is definitely first, and then communication, consideration, compassion, and compromise. We just did compromise. And it's mainly on God, marriage, family, and life. And so we're excited about being able to share where the Lord has brought us from. And we just thank God for our son and giving us the platform to continue to use our gifts to help others. And hopefully it will, help couples to extend their marriage and their relationship as long as we have 45 years friends and 38 years marriage. So
awesome.
Yeah, this Saturday we going live now at 2:00. So we'll definitely broadcast again. We finished the 5th C, so now we're incorporating some additional information and encouraging areas that we can inspire, couples to continue to press on. And with this COVID and this pandemic, it gives us an opportunity to continue to minister without leaving the house. So thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and love seeing what you guys do. And make sure to check it out. So the Suds Are Us podcast. You can go a couple of places to listen. You can go to BS3Radio.com. That'll be the easiest way. Also, go to Spreaker.com/BS3 Radio. I'm going to put those links in the comments there. And also, they're on Apple Podcasts. They're also doing the live, like via StreamYard, like what we're doing right now, on the page, on their page. So, Such a Us podcast. So, really happy and excited to see where you guys are going, and looking forward to this upcoming week. Make sure to check out all the shows, bs3radio.com. Also, as you can see what's scrolling below, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com, BS3 Radio, or on Cash App and on PayPal. We take any amounts. We are okay with dollars. cents, whatever it is that you want to add on. We're okay with that. We will take that as we continue to grow. So thank you for tuning in tonight. Dad, thank you for coming on and holding it down. Next week, we'll probably have a group. The guys should be back, but it's always great having you on.
You too. And I'm not sure if you made the announcement, but I just want to commend you on your next adventure as you continue to branch out into podcasting, counseling, and mentoring, and because you are definitely growing. So we're proud of you, and we pray and hope that you continue to grow, and that adventure also produces blessings and be fruitful and multiply as you were already doing.
Yes. And yes, thank you for bringing that up. BS3 coaching. So if you want to do a podcast like this, if you want to get into podcasting, if you're already in podcasting, you want to take your podcast to the next level, BS3 coaching. I'll put that link. You can check out the website. It has the pricing for how you can contact me, and I work with you one-on-one. And to help you either take your podcast to the next level or get you started in the podcasting. I mean, it's a really good avenue right now because a lot of people are doing it, but you can start your own thing and it'll be authentic to you. It doesn't need to be or look like, what someone else does, but it'll be, special to what you do. And that's what I'm going to be here to help you do. So that's the new venture of BS3, and looking forward to that growing and producing. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight.
All right.
All right. Have a good night. Also, man, happy birthday to my sister, which I'm going to be calling her in a minute. Happy birthday to Deidre Sutterth. Today is her birthday. Baby sister growing up.
Deidre Sutterth Bryant.
Deidre Sutterth Bryant. I'll make sure I get that right. But we love you. And thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Enjoy this Monday Night Football game, and we will be back next week.
All right.